Hi, let us continue with 10 essential key features for model definition in Django. If the model has already been defined, which can occur due to differences in how the module was imported at different stages, the existing model is retrieved from the application cache and returned. This ensures that the same class object is always utilized. The statement is referring to the behavior of Django's application cache when importing and defining models. In this case, if the post model class has already been defined, then the existing class object is retrieved from the cache and returned by the subsequent import statement. This ensures that the same class object is always used throughout the application, even if the module is imported multiple times. Let's use the Django shell to demonstrate this behavior. First, open a terminal and navigate to your Django project directory. Then, activate the virtual environment if you are using one and run the Django shell. Now, let us import post model from app.models module. This code snippet retrieves the models module of the Django application with the label app. Here's a breakdown of what's happening. Django.apps.apps is a reference to the Django apps registry, which stores information about all installed Django applications. GetAppConfigApp retrieves the configuration object for the app application from the registry. This object contains metadata about the application, such as its label, name, and installed models. Models is an attribute of the application configuration object that refers to the models module of the application. This module contains the Python classes that define the application's data models. Hit Enter on keyboard. This should output a dictionary containing information about the models defined in the app, including the post model. Now, let's import the post model class. Then, we are using the built-in ID function to get the memory address of the post class object. When we call ID post, Python returns the unique memory address of the post class object. Now, let's import the post model again from a different module, in this case, from the models module directly. Next, we call ID models.post. Since models is a reference to the same module as app.models, the post class object that we get from models.post is the same as the one we got from app.models.post. Therefore, Python returns the same memory address as before, confirming that both references point to the same object in memory. This demonstrates that Python only creates one instance of a class object, regardless of how many times it is imported or referenced within a program. This is an important concept in object-oriented programming because it ensures that all references to the same class object behave consistently and have access to the same attributes and methods. The newly created model class inherits the attributes and methods defined on the original model. In Django, a model class is defined using the class keyword, just like any other Python class. When you define a Django model, you typically define various attributes and methods that describe the fields of the model and how it should behave. For example, in the post model we can see various attributes and methods defined, such as title, a char field that represents the title of the post; content, a text field that represents the content of the post; pubdate, a date/time field that represents the publication date of the post; published, a Boolean field that represents whether the post has been published; meta, a nested class that defines various metadata options for the model, such as the default ordering and verbose names; star, a special method that returns a string representation of the model instance, which in this case returns the title of the post. When you import a model class in Django, whether it's from the same module or a different module, Django creates a new class object in memory that represents the model. This new class inherits from the Django.db.models.model base class and includes all of the attributes and methods defined on the original model class. For example, when you import the post model class, Django creates a new class object that represents the model, and this new class includes all of the attributes and methods defined on the post class. This means that you can access the attributes and methods of the original model class through the newly created model class. For example, you can use post.objects.all to retrieve all post instances from the database, even if you imported the post class from a different module. I hope this explanation helps clarify how Django models work. Let me know if you have any further questions. When a new model is created based on an existing parent model, the settings or configurations of the parent model are automatically applied to the new model. In other words, the new model inherits the settings of the parent model. In this specific code, the post model is inheriting from the models.model class provided by Django, which has a default manager called objects. In addition, the post model is defining its own custom manager called published manager, which filters only published posts. By setting objects equals models.manager and published objects equals published manager in the post model, the custom published manager becomes the default manager for the post model, and it inherits all the settings defined on the parent models.manager, including any custom methods defined on the parent manager. This allows the published manager to access and use any methods or settings defined on the parent models.manager, as well as any methods or settings defined on the post model itself. Here's how you can demonstrate this behavior using the Django shell. Import the post model. Then create a new post. Retrieve all posts. This will retrieve all posts, including unpublished ones. Let us create another unpublished post. Retrieve all posts again. As you can see, this will retrieve all posts, including unpublished ones. Retrieve only published posts using published objects. This will retrieve only published posts, as filtered by the published manager defined in the post model. Delete the post object by typing post.delete. This will delete the post that we created in step 2. Try to retrieve the deleted post. This will raise a post.does not exist error, since the post no longer exists. This demonstrates how the custom published manager defined in the post model inherits settings and methods from the parent models.manager class, and how it can be used to filter objects based on custom criteria. The new model is registered with the application cache for future reference. Assuming that you have created the new model in your Django application, when you open the Django shell, the new model will be registered with the application cache automatically. This means that you can access and use the new model object in the shell without having to define it again or perform any additional setup. For example, if you want to retrieve data from the database using the new model, you can simply import the model and make a query using its manager object. The first time you make a query, the data will be loaded from the database into the application cache. Subsequent queries using the same model will be faster, as the data will be retrieved from the cache rather than the database. Overall, The application cache helps to improve the performance of your Django application by reducing the amount of time and resources required to access and retrieve data from the database. By registering the new model with the cache, it can be easily and efficiently accessed by other parts of your application, making it faster and more responsive. The newly created model is returned to be used instead of the class that was defined in the source file. This statement means that when a new model is created based on an existing parent model, and its settings have been applied, the newly created model object is returned to replace the original class that was defined in the source file. In object-oriented programming, a class is a blueprint for creating objects that share a common structure and behavior. When a new model is created based on a parent model, it inherits the properties and methods of the parent class, but it can also have its own unique properties and methods. After the new model is created and registered with the application cache, it can be used in place of the original class that was defined in the source file. This means that any code that was written to use the original class can now use the newly created model instead. For example, if you had a view function that was written to use the original class, you can now replace that class with the new model, and the function should continue to work as expected. This allows you to take advantage of the additional features and functionality provided by the new model, while still using the existing code that was written for the original class. Those was 10 essential key features of model definition. Creating abstract models and inherited models works differently than creating regular models in Django. These differences will be explained later in this tutorial series. Dear viewers, I would like to clarify that this tutorial is not just a step-by-step guide on how to create a blog web application using Django. It is more than that. It is a comprehensive tutorial that will take you from a beginner to a professional Django developer. My aim is not only to help you create a web application, but also to help you understand what is going on under the hood. We will cover fundamental concepts, best practices, and advanced topics that will make you a confident and competent Django developer. By the end of this tutorial, you will have a deep understanding of Django and be able to build complex web applications with ease. So, if you want to take your Django skills to the next level and become a professional Django developer, then this tutorial is for you.